Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Andres Blebesh. You're watching the Type 1 Experience. This is Season 2, Episode 2. Today we're going to be talking about traveling with Type 1 diabetes. And with that, cue the intro. Alright, let's get started. So last week I had put out some call to action for the viewers to put something in the comments, both on YouTube and Beyond Type 1. And someone who had watched the vlog last season had said, let's see more vlogs on travel. And it kind of made me want to pull out all my archiving, because when I travel, I have, I'm a pack rat. I take every receipt that I get and bus pass and like cigarette pack that I find that you don't see in the States. I put it in books. I get little artifacts. I keep everything when I travel. Another reason, you're probably wondering why there were cameras in the title sequence. I got my first 35mm camera when I was traveling for the first time in Amsterdam, and it kind of spiraled into how I got into collecting old cameras. This camera right here, the Review Flex. So yeah, it's just a fun fact about myself. So yeah, traveling. I think the first thing to say about traveling with Type 1 diabetes is preparation. I think when you travel, what I did, at least I'm speaking from my own experience, I was able to get like 2 months supply in advance from my suppliers, and I make sure that you have way more than you would normally need. You're going to want to be separating probably half of your supplies into separate bags, like your carry-on and your luggage bag, because that's just generally a smarter way to travel. But I also had like what's it called? I had like a fanny pack that you could kind of put needles in and that kind of thing. That's when I didn't have a pump. So when you're getting in the airport, you'll have to show everything, and most airports are really good with diabetes and supplies and pumps. For when I go through security, they make me touch my pump with my fingers and swab them with a hot material. It's just procedure. I've gotten used to it, but they'll let you through without having to disconnect it or anything like that. And the other thing that most people don't know, or they're maybe too shy to ask for, is that once you get on the plane, you're entitled to ask for like a bottle of orange juice or anything like that. Legally obliged to give that to you for free, even if you're not having an emergency, just so that you have something with you. I found that out on the trip to Vegas very recently. I didn't know that. So I would always end up spending more money in the airport little gift shops on like $6 for a bag of gummy bears or something like that. So make sure you ask for something on the plane. You're fine, you're covered, don't. So I think the thing that I keep coming back to with traveling is making your diabetes very known to the people that are around you. Well, whether you're in an airport or a hotel or an Airbnb, it's better that people know than they don't know in the long run. Maybe they'll leave you like a little bowl of candy, whatever. That part really doesn't matter. It's just making it known. And if you don't feel comfortable with making it known, I'm sure you have your reasons, but for me at least, I feel more comfortable if people know, especially at hotels. Like the more the people that are hosting you know about you, the better it is for you in the long run. I'll just say that about it. I guess having travel companions is good because they're kind of monitoring you the whole time and seeing where you're at. If you're traveling by yourself, like I was for a good portion, you really just have to kind of be a pack rat with sugar, just stash stuff in your jacket, check a lot, and really, it ultimately comes down to how well can you take care of yourself. You really can't depend on anybody when you're traveling. one of the most interesting parts about traveling with type 1 during my time in Europe was getting acclimated to different environments. When I was in the Netherlands, I really spent a good week really figuring out, like, okay, where am I going to do my groceries? Where is my emergency store if anything happens during the night, or if I'm out late? Where can I, really getting mapped out in terms of where I was and what was around me. If you're diabetic, you probably know that you will go to the same place a lot because it works for you. When I traveled, getting acclimated with certain environments was really helpful because it really helped me understand my surroundings and what was to my benefit around me. At that same point, when I continued my travel with Ben and Nicole after that, after my little study abroad thing, I didn't have a week to figure out each spot, so I really had to know a country before where my stuff was going to be. So I would know, okay, there's a small market next to my hotel, next to my Airbnb. This will be our grocery spot. And a lot of the times you have to rely on like Google Maps for stuff like that. A lot of times it'll be like a different shop that's not on the internet that's closer to you. The next part about this would be developing a system. When you travel by yourself, kind of has to do with like wearing the same clothes, kind of. I always wear a lot of button-up shirts with a pocket right here for my meter. So I guess that's kind of my system for what clothes I'll wear to work, for example. But when you travel, you kind of find the same thing. You're gonna like a certain kind of backpack that's gonna have things that are accessible to you in an easy way that works for you. And I think that really goes into the preparation of like, what do you need on you all the time? How small is it? Can you take it in with you everywhere you go? Are you gonna run into more restrictions than you would like at an event, for example, where you might not be able to bring in a backpack? What do you do in that situation? Especially us as diabetics, I feel like we have to think about these things a lot more and kind of prepare for them well before they happen. And I feel like that kind of goes into us having our own, like I said, system that indicates what we're going to do that day or what the situation requires us to have on us, I guess. One thing that you'll probably run into when you're traveling with a group is that you'll have to keep up with them in certain spots, where your sugar will drop with activity, theirs won't. You'll find yourself kind of matching up with them based on your basal, for example, your long-acting insulin. If you're going to have a day where, first of all, if the weather is really hot outside, you're going to sweat, where you're going to be walking all day, you might want to think about lowering your basal maybe 2 units or so that you're going to be overworking yourself past what you're normally used to. So you want to give yourself a little bit of breathing room with how much activity level you're going to have in relation to how much long-acting insulin you're putting, because you don't want to have the same amount of insulin you're usually getting and doing way more activity and exerting yourself more than you usually would and having a low later on in the day or whenever. Like I said before, know what you're going to do, kind of have a plan before it actually happens, so that maybe the next day or the day of you can dose accordingly so that you're not caught off guard or anything like that. One really important thing about traveling with type 1 diabetes is keeping insulin cold, especially when you're going from country to country or you're not going to be in the same location for an extended period of time. Really make sure that you are good about keeping your insulin cold, because it's happened to me a lot of times where I'll do a good job of keeping it cold up until my destination. I'll leave it in the bag for a day, remember the next day, and then put it in the fridge at that point, and I've lost a day of refrigeration. A good tip is to have a Frio bag before you leave. I made the mistake of not putting a Frio bag in the freezer a few days before, so it gets really cold. So if you're traveling, put your Frio bag in the freezer 2 days before and let it get really cold, so that your duration of your trip doesn't lose its potency. So have a Frio bag. When you get to your destination, put it in a fridge immediately. If your hotel room doesn't have a fridge, go to the front desk and request it for medical purposes. I had this done for me at a hotel in Chicago. I got to the room, I had insulin, and then I just called the front desk and they had a little fridge brought up to me. So that is a possibility, but if for some reason you're at a pretty remote area, there's no extra fridges for you, rely on your Frio bag as long as you can. So I cannot stress enough, make sure your insulin is cold. Make sure when you get to your destination, you immediately put it in a fridge. And in my scenario, when I was switching locations every 3 days or every 4 days, I was not doing that. And in some places, the weather was so hot that even in the fridge, it wasn't doing anything. I remember in Barcelona, there wasn't even a public fridge in the Airbnb I was staying at, so I was just kind of on my own. And, I'm pretty sure my insulin did go bad in Barcelona, so the end of the trip was a little bit harder than the beginning, just because of the insulin. This is one of those things that's just kind of hard to grasp about being a type 1 diabetic at 20 something, is that, you know, when you travel, you know, all your friends are, you know, they want to go to clubs and they want to do things that everybody else does. It's one of those things that you just kind of have to wrap your head around. Not to say that you're not going to do those things, but you're going to have a harder time doing those things. We can all understand that, you know, if you like doing something, it's kind of hard to just drop it because you're a type 1 now, but nonetheless, it's something that you really can't change. You know, with every situation, there's two options. You know, get better at it, or don't do it anymore. Jay Cutler, the football player for the Bears, Jay Cutler said that you're really never on vacation, even when you're on vacation. And he could not be more right, because, you know, when you're on said vacation, you're supposed to be relaxing and not thinking about anything about your normal life, and you're just traveling and seeing the world. Diabetics are really never on vacation. We travel, we see the world, but at the same time, we're always thinking about sugar, or where we're gonna be, where we are, sugar-wise. I mean, keep that in mind when you travel. I did want to apologize for not posting last Sunday. I have been really wanting to set up my studio a little bit, and the basement that I'm in is a little bit cluttered. You know, there's just like a workout machine, and there were a lot more boxes before. When I thought of doing the travel vlog on traveling with type 1 diabetes, it made me pull out, you know, really have to search for some of the old stuff that I put together while I was traveling. You know, this box that I put together of like all the bills from every country I went to, and all like the coins and stuff like that, lighters. I got a lot of coins, but I am a travel pack rat, that's for sure. Anyways, I wanted to keep this vlog semi-short, not so dry. I'll see you next week with another vlog. I'm still debating which topic it's going to be, but now that I have the studio semi-developed, it should be easy running from here. So, to all of you watching, I appreciate you. Thank you. And we'll see you next week. Thanks again. I'm really bad at this, but I need to ask my viewers and people who don't view me to subscribe, please. And thank you. Have a fantastic day, guys. Have a good one.